I do think there's something rotten on the team. Something stinks in that locker room. There's something non-hockey related, or at least hockey adjacent, that's going on with the team. We don't know what it is, but it's in the mix of something to do with Montgomery and Montgomery's relationship with his players, or Montgomery and something that the team caused the team to get scared away from Montgomery in the offseason to extend him, and that extended to the players. And Swayman's in there with the... We heard Elliot Freeman, over the weekend saying that there's still lingering hard feelings, and that's affecting the overall situation there. Players, Swayman, Fluto Shinzawa writing the other day, Swayman doesn't turn around, he's going to lose whatever friends he has left in the locker room, etc. So, there's a thing there. There's a whole thing there that I've alluded to for weeks because I think it's real. It just... They have the look of a team where something happened. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And whether that could be multiple things or multiple factors, but just something's happened. Because it's been that broken, that disjointed. And it started in training camp. And that was Sweeney again, going back to training camp. We were flat throughout training camp. It was flat across. It was a flat line across the board. And that's not just injuries. It's not just holdout. It was flat. Because something stinks on the team. Joe Sacco's first order of business is to try and clean that up. Clear the air, clean that up, get them through it. Because if they don't, it's not going to matter. Because you can't be playing the way they're playing, half-assed, and go anywhere. So
no, and you listen to Sweeney's comment there, and again, it sounds like, he's sort of saying like they all showed up not giving a crap, and they haven't come out of it.
That's right.
So what is behind that?
Let the wine flow, big dinner, air the grievances. That's what they need.
Yeah, something like that.
Because there's a funk around this team that you can't tell me it's injuries or just Swayman's contract. There's something else.
It's a funk.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear more from Sweeney today. He was asked, I think, a good question. Any second guesses about how you went into the year with Montgomery, not extending him, having him be a lame duck? Did you set this up by the way you handled Montgomery? Number 2, Jimmy.
Is there much second guessing for management's part about the situation with Monty going into the year in the last year of his deal, just given kind of the pressure that is obvious and inherent when a coach enters that kind of situation?
No, not from the second guessing. As I said, I was in extension talks. There was contract offers. So, I feel very comfortable. The person makes it no different than a player making an individual decision. We've got players that did that as well this summer. So, there's two sides to every negotiation, and they have to make their own decisions accordingly. And we react as a result of that. Doesn't mean that it doesn't come to fruition at some point in time, because you're very open. It's not like we shut things down, but at the end of the day, performance is part of this.
I didn't like that one either. So he's saying, again, and I think the Bruins were wrong to leave Montgomery dangling like this. It invited the locker room to bail on the substitute teacher, which they immediately did, apparently. So why don't you either extend him or fire him? And Sweeney says, well, we were trying. He turned down, it takes 2 to tango, basically. So he was blaming Montgomery for driving too hard of a bargain. Then you should have fired him. If you should have realized at some point in the offseason you couldn't come to terms, and then move on. Or meet his terms. They set up this. This was untenable. This is Sweeney's fault for going into the year with it being in this condition. So that answer doesn't satisfy me.
That one is like blaming the coach for lowballing him, right? That's what it feels like. If they wanted to sign him, they would have extended and signed him. They ultimately get Swayman done. If they wanted the coach, they would have done the same thing.
Jimmy, number 4, did Montgomery lose the room? We want to know.
Well, you think that Monty lost the room?
No. You can't say that Monty came in and made a positive influence, a connection with players for 2+ seasons, and then turn around and say they just tuned them out. They haven't performed at the level they need to. And that's as simplistic as I say. Monty's a good coach. His communication skills are outstanding. But it wasn't, for whatever reason, translating into the results from the player side thing.
Did he lose the room? No, we never had it. Would be my answer, at least this year.
Yeah, I think his answer there makes no sense. So, if you get the room at the beginning, you keep it forever? That's the logic? What, so no coach has ever lost a room if you go by that logic?
That's right, it's good.
No, so the fact that he had him 2 years ago is irrelevant. And again, when he says that, he doesn't understand the meaning of lost the room. It doesn't mean you screwed someone over. It just means they stopped listening. You want to say they need a new voice, say whatever you want, but they weren't responding to him, put it that way.
Number 5, Donnie, is this a cup contender?
still think this roster is a top contender?
Well, we got to take baby steps. We have to get back to playing the way we're capable of playing and find out whether or not we can challenge the elite teams in this league. We've been there. I've been on the other side of where people have asked us in terms of where we are as being one of the upper echelon teams, and we got to work our way back there. It's got to start in that. Before you can hope, you got to build, and we have some work to do.
I'll say this. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, no, you.
I'll take the word salad over a crock of him saying yes or something like that. That's more acceptable to me than like, oh yeah, no, we've just underperformed.
That word salad is him saying, we need to get our heads out of our ass first.
I thought this was the right answer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I can't even begin to think about that until we start trying again. Until we actually put some effort out on the ice, then I'll tell you.
I mean, they're difficult to evaluate individually right now because they have their heads so far up their asses they can't see the light of day. Am I wrong?
No, it's just
like seriously. They
we still got to get that sponsored.
They're just jammed all the way up there. Number 8, is the locker room too comfortable? Another good question, Jimmy.
Do you feel like your locker room is perhaps too comfortable? A lot of guys with long-term deals, a lot of guys with moving clauses. Is that a concern with the way they're playing right now?
No, I referenced the fact that did players get a little relaxed or comfortable having good years last year and just thinking it was going to be a fait accompli that they'd go out and execute the same level? Maybe that trickled in. No, from the standpoint of no movements, players that had no movements, players that had no trades, they've moved around this league, and that'll continue to do so. We're going to identify the guys that love being here, love representing the Boston Bruins, and if they don't, then I will make some changes as a result of that, and performance will drive it. But no, I'm not concerned about that.
Okay, I think they are too comfortable. I think the players have been given too much room here on this organization. And it's a big picture, macro organizational thing, but I think it's been a failing of the team. They rightfully, I say this all the time, they rightfully needed to change the way they did business from the old Jeremy Jacobs days, where the players were raked over the coals on money and they weren't treated all that well. And when Cam Neely took over as team president in 2011, he started to change that, and it was a needed change. I just think they've gone too far in the other direction now. I think the players run the show to an unhealthy degree, and I don't know if they're equipped to change it or they want to change it, but I think they do need to change it. They need to hold players accountable, and I hope Don is right there. If players don't want to be here or aren't performing, get rid of them. And you can still do it with no movements. It makes it harder, but you can still do it. So hopefully he's willing to do it. Finally, when I say first order business for Joe Sacco is to get their heads out of their asses, to try and get them through this funk that they're through. It starts with the goalie. Again, the Swayman games have been particularly bad. It's been a bad season, but the worst of the worst have been with Swayman and net, where it's gone from bad to worse, and it appears that they've quit. They've shown quit in front of Jeremy Swayman. So Sweeney was asked about, not specifically that part of it, but Swayman in general, number 7, Stu.
When you talk about the training camp and that sort of bleeding into the performance that we see during the regular season, how much of a factor is Jeremy Swayman in that, having missed camp, and then, he obviously hasn't been up to his standards either to start this year?
Yeah, I think Jeremy would acknowledge he hasn't played as well as what he's capable of playing, and we fully expect him to get back there. Now, how much time that takes because of camp, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, reps are reps. If you don't feel like you're even if you've tried to convince yourself that you might be there, it's no different than Brad, in terms of missing some quality time and working your way back in game. It's just harder to do that.
Okay, it's more than that. Sorry, it's more than the fact that he missed time in camp. So we'll see. We'll see if Sacco can figure out the Swayman issue. All told, Mazz, do you think these moves are going to work?
No, I think they'll get better. I think there'll be a little jolt because they're changing coaches. There'll be a little better focus.
Is this enough just to make the playoffs?
Close.
I'd like to think it's enough to make sure they're not getting waxed by the Nashvilles and Columbuses of the NHL, like the true dregs of the league. It's one thing if you can't beat, I don't know, a Winnipeg or like one of the better teams. When you're losing to trash and losing badly, like that has to stop.
So if you're asking me, is the talent on the team good enough to make the playoffs? My answer is yes. But do I think they have their heads screwed on sufficiently to put it together and turn it around this season?
Or Sacco's going to be the answer to that? It's hard to imagine, right?
No, that'll get them a little ways. They'll play better for a little while. But then when they encounter adversity, it'll fall apart again. There's something fundamentally flawed there that's affecting the way they commit to one another. Because, look, as much as it's corny when teams talk about you win for the other guy, you sort of do buy into that when you're on a good team. Everybody thinks, I'm not going to let it down. We get too good a thing going. I don't think they're going to get there. I think that when, just watch how they play when things go bad. It reminds me a little of the Celtics when Kyrie Irving was here. Remember how they would face adversity and they would just cave?
Oh, yeah.
They would collapse. That's how it is with the Bruins right now. They collapse.
So they're wrapping up the Pucks and Paddles event here at the House of Blues. And it's not like they've been chucking the paddles at each other. I haven't had a full look at the whole thing. But it's not like they're chucking the chicken fingers at them at each other from...
Well, I mean, what are they going to do, start a bar fight at a charity event?
There's teams who have.
Yeah, right.
The Patriots.
I mean, those kind of things have happened.
I'm telling you, the Patriots did. The Patriots did. When I covered the team, they did a charity event.
The 90s.
True story.
At the rack?
Okay, I'm not going to tell you what team it was or where it was. Or what player did this. The scuffle started at the event. It was a pool hall where they were whacking each other with pool cues.
Carried over into the next morning.
Next morning, team meeting. One of the guys involved walks in and boom, immediately right back at it.
It's great.
Big pile. I believe this was also the event where one Patriots player was so hammered he came out of the thing, stumbled out of the thing, saw a limo, thought it was his, opened up the back door, jumped into the back seat. There were like 4 or 5 girls back there. It was like a bachelorette party or a girls' night out or whatever, and it was their limo. And this guy piles into the back. The girls kick it, get out of here, scratch him, get out of here, get out of here. He gets out of it and says, get out of my limo, pritches.
Get those pritches out of my limo.
And then proceeded to urinate on the limo.
Took a leak on the limo.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Get out of my limo, pritches. So, yes, back in the day, the team dysfunction was not, just because it was a charity event, did not mean it was immune to team dysfunction. I see none of that behavior here today.
The Bruins are behaving themselves.
But
yes,
I still think it's a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, I don't think, I just don't see them responding. You don't start a season the way they've started it and then all of a sudden turn it around. There's one thing, there's a difference between playing poorly but still being committed and this. And that thing the other night was, I'm telling you, if you get a chance, go back and just watch the highlights.
Oh, I was at the Columbus game.
Yeah.
Oh, they were completely non-engaged.
Oh, my gosh. It was unbelievable.
Complete.
Not even challenging the puck.
Nope.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger Mazz here. For more Bruins analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.